Airborne Vet here. Welcome to the channel. We're here for a supply drop today. I apologize. I gotta have a nice warm beverage today because I do have to speak all day for my job. I am an instructor. So today's supply drop is what I need for both organization and to work on the door. The 82 K5 Blazer door. In my previous shorts you guys seen earlier this week, you see me disassembling the door. Removing all the components so I can get down to stripping all the old paint and restoring that door back to its original beauty. So today, I stopped at Harbor Freight. I know, Harbor Freight, some people think it's bad tools and stuff, but believe it or not, they do have some good stuff here and there. Now when it comes to basic stripping and paint and stuff like that, I don't see the point of getting excessively high-end grids, especially for this particular project. If I was restoring like a 1969 Ford Mustang, I'll probably use more premium materials and equipment because then we'll want a way better finish. But this is an everyday off-road vehicle that we're going to go camping in. Maybe I'll be doing some bushcraft stuff, driving to a remote location, doing some of that stuff. I am not a professional bushcrafter. I'm more in the beginning, intermediate stage. Going to gun competitions, that kind of stuff, fishing, family events, you know, and if the worst case happens, a bug out vehicle, but it's not its primary use. Could it do it? Yes. Not its primary function. So let's get back to the supply drop. As I said, the purpose of the supply drop is to work on the project, continue the project, and move progress forward. Just like I did with the grill conversion in my previous shorts and my final conclusion video, same thing here. The only difference between the Blazer and that, this is a year-long plus project. The grill is, what was it, 2 weeks, maybe. You know, when I have time. I do have a full-time job. I teach for a living. I also am a full-time HVAC technician. I just work for myself. So, we're going to start from left to right. We got some stripping stuff. We're getting rid of the initial paint grime, the last painter's mistake. That was not me. I paid someone. As I mentioned in my last long-term form video, I was young, dumb, and I got had. It was my fault for not doing the research. And nowadays, we don't got an excuse. So stripping, I got some a hook and loop pads. I do believe they're 6 they're 40 grit. I may have made a mistake there. And then I got another flat disc for the really bad areas for removing rust and paint and primer and a original factory paint and more primer because they didn't strip down the old paint when they did it. Now I got some stuff for the paint gun for priming. I upgraded my regular from this Century. It worked, it did its job, but it was very finicky. As I was priming the fender that I have a short in from earlier, this will start self-adjusting itself up, and occasionally it'll self-adjust itself down. That got kind of irritating, constantly having to adjust it. So I was just assuming it has a loose connection between the knob and the little valve inside. But it worked, it did its job for what I needed it, to see if I could actually get some components primed on my own or if I'm going to have to fork out the bucks for a hardcore professional. Even though they're going to want to get showroom quality, and that's not what I'm going for. So, we got a brand new regulator. Merlin, just a tiny step up, an extra $2 or $3. Hopefully it works a little bit better. Directions on the box, left it boxed specifically so that way I can read the directions. Let's give you a little bit closer up, 'cause I know the video's a little panned out. So I'll let you guys know how well it works, if it's good for DIY. You know, basically I'm hoping to reduce some frustration. If this don't work, because it's the best one they got in the store that I know of, then I'll move to probably a bigger brand store. You know, but it was $4, not that big of a deal. Moisture filter. These guys tend to work no matter what. Just basically so that way moisture is not mixing in with my paint and my air, and I can get a more consistent spray. I got this adapter for the new spray gun. We'll talk about that in a second. Now I got this guy for my grinder for doing different kinds of sanding on the thing, on the door. So, once again, I haven't used this before from Harbor Freight. I have used the big box store version, and it worked great, but that thing has years of use on it, and it's starting to fall apart. So, I'm going to try this out, because it is an expendable good. It is an expendable resource. So if I could spend a little bit less money on it and still get the same job done, I think that'll be primo. Now the two big items. We got Black Widow Spider. Why am I calling it a spider? It's a Black Widow paint gun. Now, this is an upgrade from my old paint gun, also from Harbor Freight. I am not a professional painter, by the way. This guy, the $16 one. Now, I didn't even bother cleaning it this time. I actually pulled it out of the trash. You know, I got a metal scrap box that I go through and break down all the metal, remove all the plastic, and I take it to the scrap yard once it gets filled up. I pulled it out of there just to show you, and the biggest frustration I have had with it is, one, the looseness, a lot of play in the trigger. You know, just playing with the display models of the Black Widows, it had a lot more crisp trigger, and that it aggravated me. Sometimes, you know, I'm just trying to get a little sprit, and it's not going, and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta pull further, you know. Another thing is, you're supposed to be able to fully disassemble this thing, and the threads on every single one, I got tired of returning them and getting a different one. The threads on every single one are seized, straight from the factory. Now, I'm not knocking Harbor Freight. This gun did get those two fenders done that you see in the short with, if you watch, but cleaning it was such a pain. You should be able to remove this. It's always seized on every single one I bought. Now, a one and done use, go ahead and get this. All you have to do is just spray one project. But if you got a long project like my Blazer, I don't recommend this. You know? But once again, I am not a professional painter, so yeah. There's that. I might keep the reservoir. Let's see. Or maybe not. I didn't clean it after the last time I used it because I was throwing it away. Alright. Let's get this so my rollies don't get froggy. Now this little guy. If you take a gander at my top shelf right here, it's starting to get a little cluttered. Between big white welder tips, glue, batteries, combs, rechargeable batteries. Sort of get a bit cluttered up there. I'm even knocking my bottle opener open. Over. I mispronunciating. I have been talking all day, so I do apologize. So I got this little mini toolbox. So basically I can pop it up on this shelf, clean it up, get a little bit more organized, improve my workflow. So that is the goal of the mini toolbox, because it gets frustrating from time to time. And if you look around, I also reload. I do a bunch of things. I'm a DIYer. You know, I'm not a auto restoration guy. I know how to work on trucks. I have worked at a paint shop in the past. It just wasn't for me, so I never got to the professional level. You know, I'm not knocking auto painters and bodywork guys. Those guys do an amazing job. You know, I just don't see the point of spending the money on the level of finish that I want, when it's one, it's gonna be matted, two, it's gonna be matted paint, and three, I'm going to scratch it up, going through trails and whatever. So spending that kind of money on something, when while I'm doing this, I can improve my skills at doing it, and when I do get some bad gouges in the paint job, I can fix it myself. You know, I already went through the process. I know it's a different process on repairing paint than doing a complete brand new paint job, but I'll have the basic foundation. You know, practiced basic foundation compared to the paint shop where I learned the foundation. Now the last thing right here is I'm going to make myself a little sanding booth. Last time I did those fenders, I had debris all over the garage. All that dust was freaking everywhere. I was cleaning for months, you know. So I'm gonna make myself a quick DIY booth. I will be willing, actually I am just gonna film it, and so you guys can see it in a short. And me setting it up, walking in, putting the door in there, etc. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in a short so you guys can watch it. It's gonna be fast paced, you know, fast forward short. No commentary, no dialogue. You know, just you can see it for yourself. You know, get an idea if this is something you want, give it a try. You know, I always encourage people to try to learn something new. So that's it for today. I'm still getting better at these long form videos. I'm hoping you guys see a little bit of improvement every single time. But I really appreciate you guys' watch. Airborne out. Alright, I cleaned up the shelf a little bit, so here we go. Right here I used the old 9mm holder for these fittings. So that way they're nice and stacked to save some room. Got the new chuck. It's actually smooth after I opened it. Compared to the other ones, it's not as clunky. So that's kind of nice. So I'm hoping that works well. This little guy right here, some other parts, some Teflon tape, air chuck, and some welding bits. And I cleaned it up a little bit.